Hi, Jessica Rabe here. I'm one of the co-founders of Data Trek Research, and I'm actually also a licensed skydiver. So I'm going to discuss some of the important lessons I've learned from the sport that also apply to investing. What I want to get across to you in this video is that skydiving is an amplified version of life and investing because it's a masterclass in risk management. No matter someone's level of experience, both skydiving and investing are process-driven disciplines that have small margins for error. So to me, they help teach how to confront natural human fear and overcome it by sticking to a process, being present, and remaining calm in high-pressure situations. That's especially important now during a time of tricky capital markets conditions with high rates as well as macroeconomic and geopolitical uncertainty. Before I get into the details of this comparison, I thought I'd start out by giving a little background information on skydiving since it is such a niche sport. Whenever someone hears that I skydive, their eyes usually get big and they ask, why would I jump out of a perfectly good airplane? Now, the skydiver's response is, there's no such thing as a perfectly good airplane. But regardless, I do totally understand this reaction. Skydiving's not for everyone, and that's totally okay. But for me, the short answer is threefold. First, I like pastimes that push limits and require intense mental focus. Skydiving certainly fits that description, and it's not just about falling out of a plane. You can adjust your body position to fly on your belly, your back, head up, head down, and at an angle or tracking across the sky. And you can do all this alone or usually with other people. I love jumping with all my friends. There are many disciplines in the sport under both free fall and your canopy, so I always have new things to learn and get better at. Second, I love skydiving because the community is so wonderfully diverse and accepting. My friends in the sport come from all walks of life, from computer coders and helicopter pilots to teachers and firefighters, or even actors, DJs, or a famous rapper. At the drop zone, however, it doesn't matter. It's all a level playing field. We all connect around a common passion, and I love that. Lastly, as much as I enjoy what I do for a living, writing and publishing capital markets and building Nick in my business, skydiving allows me to take a fun break and be highly focused on the present. So in portfolio construction terms, it is my uncorrelated asset with high returns on investment. Now, not anyone can just jump out of an airplane. A new skydiver needs to complete training outlined by the United States Parachute Association and get their A license to be cleared to skydive without supervision. This involves learning about the equipment, how to leave the plane and fly your body in free fall, how to pilot your parachute and land, what to do in emergency situations or when things don't go as planned. There are also 4 licenses in total. A, as I just discussed, for new skydivers. Then there's B, C, and lastly D. With each license being progressively more difficult to achieve by requiring skydivers to prove certain skills and reach specific experience levels. You can also do more with each license. So for example, I currently have my B license, which allows me to do night jumps and helicopter jumps, and required me to have at least 50 skydives and 30 minutes of free fall time, land within a certain number of feet of a target on 10 jumps, take live water landing training, prove certain canopy skills, and pass a written exam. Now, I'm working on getting my C license, which has a 200 jump minimum. I'm currently at 164. And other requirements, and then there's also a D license, the highest license, which requires a minimum of 500 jumps, among other things. As for how safe skydiving is, there were almost 43,000 USPA members that made 3.9 million jumps last year. Out of that total, there were 20 recorded fatal skydiving accidents. So as much as skydiving fatalities are extremely tragic, they're not common. 20 fatalities out of 3.9 million jumps is only 0.0005%. This is not to say that skydiving is without risks. Of course it's risky, but they can be largely minimized with adequate preparation and good judgment. Many people who haven't skydived often think people die from an equipment malfunction, but that's usually not the case. It's typically from human error. The technology for skydiving equipment has improved a lot over the years with advanced safety features, and they undergo rigorous testing. Every parachute system has not only a main parachute, but also a reserve parachute, so you have a backup. Over 90% of skydivers also equip their parachute systems with an automatic activation device, which is an electric device that will release the reserve if the main parachute does not deploy by a certain altitude. In fact, most deaths usually involve very experienced skydivers who are pushing the limits. One example is swooping, which is an advanced maneuver under typically a small high-performance canopy whereby the skydiver dives the canopy toward the ground to induce speed while hopefully leaving enough time for the canopy to level out and glide horizontally across the ground. Lastly, before I move on to how this all applies to investing, let me briefly walk you through a typical skydive. First, I go through a set process of checking my equipment before I put it on. I make sure my automatic activation device is on, and then I do my check of threes. So I check to make sure my three-ring release system and reserve static line are assembled correctly, since they allow me to quickly cut away the main parachute from my skydiving harness in case of a malfunction or emergency, so I can then pull my reserve handle. I also check the 3 points of harness attachment to make sure they are in good condition and routed correctly around my legs and my chest. Then I also check my 3 operation handles, my main handle for my main parachute, my cutaway handle, and of course my reserve. Now on to how this all applies to investing. Let's start with a simple observation. No one has to skydive, just like no one is forced to invest. Anyone with money to put to work could just buy CDs or treasuries, and a lot of people do just that. Anyone who doesn't want to fall out of a plane can stay on the ground. Both are reasonable choices. On top of that, there are 5 other brief thoughts about the comparison between investing and skydiving that I'd like to go over briefly right now. The first is that investing is about earning a better return on your money than the safest options. Skydiving is about engaging in a fun, rewarding, if certainly risky, sport, so risk management is key to both. Ill-considered risk-taking is bad in investing and can obviously be fatal in skydiving. Second, training is key to both activities. Skydivers must pass written tests and instructor evaluations. Investors don't face the same requirements, but they should still be constantly working on improving their skills and knowledge. Third, an honest assessment of personal risk tolerance is key in both investing and skydiving. There's a saying in the sport that there are old skydivers and bold skydivers, but there are no old, bold skydivers. And regardless of what many people think about Wall Street, there are no old, bold traders or investors. Fourth, the actions of others create risk in both skydiving and investing, even if you do everything right. I can plan a jump perfectly, but if someone else around me does something foolish or isn't paying attention, or quite frankly doesn't even notice, I can still get hurt or worse. The same thing is true for investors. Markets have boom and bust cycles caused by excessive confidence or fear. So for example, we've just seen a US Treasury bear market on par with the dot-com bubble bursting or the fall in stock prices during the 2008 financial crisis. All are examples of irrational prices at the top and bottom, and investors have borne the brunt of those market errors. Fifth and lastly, packing your own parachute is process-driven and fault-intolerant, sort of like managing your own money or people's capital, or other people's capital. A lot of highly experienced skydivers don't pack their main chutes every single time, and the Federal Aviation Administration requires that the reserve parachute is inspected and repacked every 180 days by an FAA-certified parachute rigger. Likewise, many very smart people rely on others for financial advice. So, wrapping up, skydiving and investing have a lot in common, even if they seem like very different activities. Managing risk, sticking to a process, and knowing your limits are the keys to success. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and be sure to check out our website, datatrekresearch.com, for a free trial to our daily reports. No credit card or personal information required. You just have to drop in an email. Thanks very much for watching and taking the time. We hope you have a great day.